What if the profound, deep, seated capacity for love you carry isn't merely a random surge of emotion, but a solemn, sacred contract you accepted before your soul even descended to this planet? Imagine that the rhythm of your heart is meticulously calibrated to a frequency far beyond the mundane, a frequency designed specifically to do more than just survive or feel. It's meant to heal the broken places, to forge enduring bonds, and to violently awaken the dormant potential in every soul you encounter. You've probably spent countless years attempting to mold your spirit into the world's definition of affection, a transactional, veiled, and often superficial exchange. Yet, every single time you tried to fit that mold, you experienced an overwhelming, agonizing sensation of misalignment. That emptiness was the silent, screaming proof that you were never designed for common love. You were deliberately selected to house and distribute something ancient, something eternal, an inexplicable force that defies all logical explanation and refuses to be minimized to a simple feeling. Today, we are going deep into the very heart of your existence, revealing the sacred blueprint of your soul and the colossal mission it was sent to this life to fulfill. When this truth finally clicks into place, you will experience a radical, irreversible shift in how you view yourself and how you understand the very act of loving. This is far beyond a casual teaching. It is a spiritual activation. It's an awakening intended to confirm the inherent difference in your being. Your unique way of expressing love is not a mere consequence of your environment or a reaction to life's circumstances. It is the original architecture of your soul. It did not spontaneously bubble up from the chaotic mess of human emotions, nor was it shaped by the fleeting, deceptive tides of earthly desire. No, this love was inscribed directly into your spiritual DNA by the Creator's own hand. Every beat that emanates from your chest is carrying a fragment of the divine design, a pattern that remains entirely untouched by time, immune to the corrosive effects of betrayal, and unfazed by crushing disappointment. While most people only experience moments of intense feeling, you carry an overwhelming, constant reservoir. Where the majority are desperately seeking to be replenished, you possess an intrinsic, unshakable wiring to overflow and pour out. This is the reason you often find yourself unable to articulate why you care with such ferocious intensity for those who have given you absolutely nothing in return. It's why you persist in seeing undeniable value in individuals whom the rest of the world has cruelly discarded. You are not operating on instinct or mere human kindness. You are consistently executing a divine mandate. There exists a singular, relentless force within you that absolutely refuses to linger at the surface. Where others simply experience an emotion, you reveal a deeper truth. You possess an unnerving ability to expose the festering, hidden wounds in people who spend their lives hiding behind a manufactured smile. You illuminate the forgotten potential in the hearts of those who have interred their greatest dreams beneath mountains of failure and self-doubt. And you have the unyielding courage to speak the raw, uncomfortable truth, because the love you carry does not exist to flatter the ego. It exists relentlessly to transform the soul. The world, with its limited understanding, may label this overwhelming intensity as too much or extreme, but heaven recognizes it as a state of perfect, beautiful alignment. This is the profound result of a heart that pulses to the steady, eternal rhythm of God rather than being dictated by the frantic, chaotic noise of the present moment. Where others only express a fleeting want, you are compelled to build. Simple desire is vaporous and temporary, but true, intentional construction leaves a legacy that echoes through generations. You were not brought into existence merely to want connection in your life. You were specifically engineered to create it, to fiercely nourish its roots, and to protect it with a quiet, relentless strength until it becomes utterly unshakable. This is the core reason your love feels profoundly different to everyone who encounters it, because it is. It arrives not as a whim, but with a vision for the future. It establishes a foundation that cannot be compromised. And it possesses the silent, determined resilience required to persist long after the initial, fleeting emotional highs have completely vanished and the commitment has become difficult. Your heart is far more than a simple, fragile vessel. It is a living, breathing bridge spanning the space between the eternal kingdom of heaven and the turbulent emotional world surrounding you. Every single sincere embrace you offer is not just temporary comfort. It's a divine access point where the perpetual flow of grace is channeled from the eternal realm directly into the temporal reality of the other person. People will often walk away from an encounter with you, and they won't even be able to articulate why they feel significantly lighter, possess a clearer perspective, or are suddenly infused with a new, inexplicable hope. The reason is simple. In your consecrated presence, they have, quite literally, touched something transcendent. You are a living, walking, breathing intersection between the kingdom of God and the dirt of the earth. Your very existence in this world is an indelible reminder that heaven is not a distant concept. God has personally placed within you an extraordinary ability to embrace others without a trace of judgment, to extend love without the prerequisite of a reason, to powerfully lift someone up without calculating whether they have somehow earned the grace, and to see intrinsic worth where the masses see nothing but irreversible ruin. You have been strategically entrusted with eyes that possess a unique gift. They can see cleanly past the initial damage, past the catastrophic mistakes, past the shallow persona, and look straight into the sacred core of who a person was always meant to be. This is not some weak, sentimental idealism. This is a powerful, prophetic vision expressed through the lens of divine love, and with the reception of this vision comes an inescapable, heavy responsibility. Because once you have been shown the gold inside someone's soul, you no longer have the spiritual right to pretend it does not exist. This deep capacity for enduring love is not a sign of weakness. It is a testament to your divine architecture. Weakness will always yield to bitter cynicism, the urge for shallow revenge, and self-preservation at the total expense of compassion. Your particular brand of love, however, was meticulously engineered to withstand the fiercest storms, to retain its purity even when subjected to the most brutal tests, and to serve as an unshakable shelter when everyone else flees for cover. Mercy is not a characteristic you strive to show. True mercy is the inherent truth of who you are even in the private moments when no one is watching your actions. This is precisely why heaven confidently trusts you with the deeply scarred hearts that others have so carelessly broken. You must finally embrace the reality that this spiritual design is exceedingly rare and uncommon. Countless people on this earth are merely moved by their ever-changing feelings, but only a precious few are profoundly governed by a clear, unshakable calling. Your love is not seasonal. It does not suddenly disappear when it becomes inconvenient or costly. It tenaciously holds on, completely covers the multitude of sins, and relentlessly restores because it carries the very nature of the one who originally designed it. This makes your presence absolutely dangerous to the darkness, for wherever a heart operating on this divine frequency walks, spiritual chains are quietly shattered. Long-held lies lose their stranglehold. People begin to feel an inexplicable surge of hope again, often without understanding the source. And here lies the profound, beautiful mystery. You may sincerely believe you are simply being your authentic self, but the undeniable truth is that you are actively fulfilling a critical part of heaven's master strategy. You are intentionally sent into specific lives and strategically placed in critical moments to be the one person who utterly refuses to give up. You are the one sent to see clearly through the thick, deceptive fog. You are the one tasked with planting essential seeds of worth in a soil that appeared utterly dead and barren. And you must fully internalize this. Every single time you choose to love when it would be exponentially easier to retreat and walk away, you are actively, physically altering someone's spiritual future. Your steadfast choice impacts their entire timeline, but now we must go to a place of greater depth, a place where this divine design comes with a significant spiritual cost. The enemy, who cannot create a single thing of worth, operates by seeking only to corrupt what is innately pure and holy. He will tirelessly attempt to convince you that your natural tenderness is a profound liability, that your utterly open heart is nothing more than a wide open doorway for pain, misuse, and betrayal. He will dispatch subtle, cynical voices that mercilessly mock your commitment to mercy, carelessly dismissing it as mere naivety or foolishness. He will make every calculated effort to push you toward building impenetrable walls, toward the comfortable refuge of cynicism, and toward embracing a love that feels superficially safe, but is in reality crushingly small and ineffective. And if you, the carrier, allow him to succeed in this endeavor, he will achieve his goal of silencing the very gift God positioned in you specifically for this wounded generation. This is why the guarding of your unique design is a constant, non-negotiable spiritual war. You must absolutely recognize and accept that the monumental way you love is not for everyone to handle, and this is perfectly acceptable. Not every human soul possesses the inherent strength to carry the immense spiritual weight of being a bridge between the kingdom of heaven and the turmoil of the earth. You were not sent here with the mission to be flawlessly understood by every single person. Your mission is simply to remain unwaveringly faithful to the one who purposefully made you this way. And as you are absorbing these words right now, you may already feel it, that gentle, quiet awareness blossoming in your chest, the undeniable sense that your ability to love has always transcended mere human emotion. This is the Spirit of God directly reminding you that you are neither ordinary nor a random accident of biology. You are a carrier of something truly eternal. So the essential question is laid bare: what action will you take with this eternal gift? Will you shamefully conceal it, or will you bravely and actively deploy it? The next revelation will clarify why this unique design is not exclusively about who you are as an individual. It is the absolute core of the mission you were specifically sent to complete. And once you grasp this truth, you will finally understand the extent to which heaven has fiercely fought to protect your sensitive heart until this exact, critical moment. When you engage in true love, something far grander and more powerful than simple human affection is set into irresistible motion. You are not just offering a polite display of fondness, you are actively releasing an immense current of power that originates from the throne room of heaven itself. Every word of affirmation you speak, every touch of genuine connection you give, every time you truly see someone past their obvious flaws, all of it carries far more than temporary comfort. It carries the very atmosphere of God's abiding presence. This is the reason people instinctively feel an immediate, profound shift when they are near you. They may lack the vocabulary to express it, often saying, "I just feel safe around you," or "I have this unshakable peace when you're here." But what they are, in fact, experiencing is the invisible, life-giving river of the Spirit flowing powerfully and tangibly through your dedicated soul. It is not exclusively you they are encountering in that moment. It is the Creator Himself, living and loving through your actions. Your love is not a random, isolated act of kindness. It is an intentional assignment. You were deliberately placed on this earth with a specific, unambiguous spiritual mandate. And a fundamental part of that mandate is to love in a manner so pure that the very presence of heaven can be distinctly felt without requiring a lengthy sermon, a physical stage, or a glaring spotlight. You are the living sermon. Your humble presence creates the stage, and the unshakable way you conduct yourself, your profound patience, your quiet discernment, your fierce refusal to give up on people, is the most persuasive, life-changing message some will ever have the privilege of hearing. You are not here in this life to merely entertain fragile egos. You are not tasked with stroking superficial pride or inflating dangerous illusions. And you are certainly not here to fill the cavernous empty spaces of individuals who stubbornly refuse to confront their own internal shadows and wounds. You were sent to release love that is targeted, intentional, and strategic. It is love with a concrete mission, a love that instinctively knows when it is time to offer gentle comfort and when it is required to issue a necessary, loving confrontation. It is a discerning love that can clearly distinguish between simply enabling someone's self-destruction and actively nurturing their profound spiritual transformation. This is why you often feel a deep-seated restlessness in environments where others seem perfectly content and comfortable. It's because the love you carry is fundamentally not meant to keep things as they are. Its purpose is to violently move them toward the glorious state they were always destined to be. And yes, let us be honest, this form of love hurts. Loving from a heavenly standard within a deeply broken world often feels like trying to speak a language that absolutely no one else comprehends. It feels like standing silently in a room filled with deafening noise, speaking essential words of life, and yet realizing that only a precious few can truly hear the life in your voice. You will frequently pour every ounce of your being out for individuals who simply do not possess the emotional capacity to reciprocate, not because they are inherently cruel, but because they have never once encountered this caliber of love before in their lives. Some will utterly misinterpret your actions, others will aggressively resist the challenge of your light, and a few will even attempt to cruelly take advantage of your boundless spirit. But none of these human reactions will ever, in any way, change the divine origin of the gift you carry, and none of it will erase the powerful, overarching purpose behind it. You were not sent for the applause of men. You were sent for a radical, eternal impact. Heaven did not assign you this singular, enduring kind of love so that you could be casually popular, universally admired, or celebrated on a pedestal. You were solemnly entrusted with it because the entire world is screaming in its desperation for genuine restoration, and you are one of the chosen carriers of the very cure. Just take a moment to absorb the weight of that truth. In a modern era where affection is nearly always conditional, loyalty is endlessly negotiable, and relationships are fundamentally transactional, God made the deliberate, intentional decision to place inside your soul a kind of love that absolutely cannot be purchased, manipulated, or corrupted. This is not a chance outcome. It is a precise strategic deployment, and make no mistake, this unique assignment carries a significant spiritual weight. When you consciously choose to love in this way, you are not merely soothing emotional aches. You are actively dismantling spiritual strongholds. You are breaking the generations of lies that people have tragically believed about themselves since childhood. You are silently, powerfully undoing the curses and negative words spoken over them in their formative years. You are demonstrating to them, through a radical consistency, that they are absolutely not beyond the reach of redemption. And every single time you choose to love with heaven's unwavering standard, you are dramatically advancing the kingdom in ways that your human eyes cannot always perceive. The enemy is fully aware of this truth, and that is why he has constantly tried to make you question the fundamental worth of your love. He has tried to convince you, often with great success, that it is pointless, that it is foolishly wasted, that you are naive for continuing to care when everyone else has long since stopped trying. But you must understand this fundamental truth. The very instant you believe that lie, you have tragically abandoned your spiritual post, and heaven did not send you here to retreat in fear. You were intentionally placed here to bravely stand in the gap, to hold the line, even when it feels as though absolutely no one is noticing your immense sacrifice, because heaven notices everything. Your unique love carries the indelible, magnificent signature of the Creator. It is not your personal name they feel imprinted on their soul, it is His. That is why some people will feel an undeniable, magnetic draw to your presence even when they are completely unable to explain the cause. They are subconsciously sensing the very fingerprints of the one who made them, left upon their heart through the way you look at them, the way you speak words of life to them, and the radical way you choose to believe in their potential long before they are able to believe in themselves. And here's the often frustrating reality. You will not always see the visible fruit of this assignment immediately. Sometimes, the essential seed you plant will lie frustratingly dormant for years before it finally finds the strength to sprout. Sometimes, the life you graciously helped will walk away, and you will wrongly assume your effort was completely in vain. until one distant day they vividly remember the unparalleled way you treated them, and that single memory becomes the life-altering turning point of their entire existence. Love of this divine caliber cannot fail. It can only be resisted for a time. This is the urgent reason you absolutely cannot afford to let your heart grow cold and calloused. This is why you must relentlessly keep pouring out your essence, even in moments when it feels as though you are pouring into a lifeless stone. Because the profound truth is, you do not know which specific moment will be the one that dramatically shifts someone's eternity. You do not know which simple, quiet act will profoundly echo in the halls of heaven for decades to come. But God does know, and He has strategically positioned you exactly where you need to be for that transformative moment to inevitably happen. So the next time you feel profoundly unseen, tragically misunderstood, or completely worn out from the effort, you must consciously remember this truth. You are not merely giving out temporary affection. You are actively transmitting vital pieces of heaven into the very atmosphere of this world, and that holy transmission cannot be permanently stopped, silenced, or stolen, unless you, the chosen one, consciously decide to stop releasing it. And what if, just imagine for a moment, the very next person you are strategically positioned to impact is someone who has been waiting patiently for years for the precise kind of love you inherently carry. Someone who will not only be restored by it, but who will immediately join you in the mission. This revelation will clearly illustrate why I emphasize this truth in our next crucial segment. Your ability to love with such breathtaking depth, piercing clarity, and unparalleled endurance was not birthed in a place of ease or effortless perfection. It was meticulously forged in the unrelenting, consuming furnace of pain. This is the part of the story that few people truly grasp. What you now exhibit as incredible spiritual strength, exquisite tenderness, and profound wisdom was once raw, actively bleeding, and desperately fragile. Every single betrayal you were forced to endure was a precise, agonizing, chiseling strike against your former self. Every act of abandonment that tragically hollowed you out was a sacred, deliberate carving of space deep inside your soul for heaven's light to fully occupy. Every single heartbreak that left you physically gasping for air was a sacred, deliberate dismantling of what was merely human, so that what was purely divine could emerge, purified, resilient, and utterly untouchable by the darkness. The spiritual scars you now carry on your soul are not conclusive evidence of your ruin or failure. They are, in fact, the essential maps of your destiny. Each one tells a powerful story, not of overwhelming defeat, but of victorious transformation. They meticulously trace the path of your hard-won survival, the brutal roads you were forced to walk when the night felt endless, and they precisely mark the exact locations where God Himself physically stepped into your fire and miraculously kept you from burning away entirely. You must understand, you didn't just passively survive the storm. You learned the language of the storm. You learned how to hear the quiet, desperate cries of others from great distances because you vividly remember what it was like when absolutely no one could hear yours. You learned how to hold others firmly steady when their own world was violently shaking because you remember being the one desperately grasping for something, anything, that would not immediately crumble under the pressure. There is a profound, spiritual reason why you can look into a stranger's eyes and immediately know when they are desperately pretending to be okay. There is a holy reason why you can instantly sense the quiet desperation lurking behind a fixed smile. You learned to read the state of souls when your own was consistently ignored. You intimately learned the immense, crushing weight of unspoken, internalized words because you were forced to carry them all by yourself for so long. And this extraordinary ability, this holy, essential sensitivity, did not come from reading books or attending lectures. It came directly from the fire. The exact same fire that tried so hard to consume you became the very fire that gloriously refined you. To be divinely chosen is to be rigorously trained in ways that the unchosen will never have the ability to comprehend. God does not and will not waste the profound suffering of His elect. He utilizes it as a forge. While others only see the act of breaking, heaven sees the magnificent, intentional shaping. You were not destroyed in the process. You were strategically stripped of illusions, of false, comfortable securities, and of shallow, detrimental attachments. Everything that did not possess the inherent strength to stand in perfect alignment with your purpose was incinerated, until only what was purely eternal remained within your core. You became a refuge for others because you once personally lived through storms so fiercely intense they should have drowned you entirely. That is why, when someone else's entire world suddenly collapses, you do not just offer polite sympathy. You bravely step directly into the wreckage with them. You possess the innate knowledge of how to construct an immediate shelter in the middle of chaos, because you were once forced to build one for your own soul, using nothing but raw faith, torrents of tears, and the faint, persistent whisper of God's voice in the deepest darkness. And when you now enter someone's storm, the entire atmosphere immediately shifts, not because you are inherently powerful as a person, but because you visibly carry the powerful authority of someone who has successfully navigated the valley and emerged with the distinct scent of the shepherd's still upon them. This was the essential training of the chosen, meticulously preparing you to carry a divine love that heals without asking permission, a love that quietly, subtly walks into tense rooms and begins the arduous process of mending the profound fractures in people's desperate hearts. You do not need to loudly announce this gift. You do not require a formal title or a public platform. You simply show up, and the process of spiritual healing silently begins to happen, not because of your personal brilliance, but because of what has been irrevocably forged inside you. You must grasp this truth. The pain you were subjected to was not random. Heaven was not indifferent or unaware of the tears you cried. Every single night you felt completely abandoned. You were, in fact, being intensely watched over. Every single moment you believed you were breaking beyond the point of repair, God was painstakingly guarding the pieces, patiently waiting for the precise moment to strategically rebuild you stronger and more compassionate than you were before. What the enemy maliciously intended to utterly shatter, you became the very process that granted you the unshakable, potent compassion you now carry and release. And here is the spiritual paradox. Those who have successfully navigated the fiercest, most consuming trials often possess the gentlest touch. Because when you have deliberately walked through fire and lived, you intimately learn the immeasurable value of every breath, every heartbeat, and every single second of profound peace. You learn that the smallest, most insignificant acts of love can feel like absolute lifelines. And so, you give them away freely, with no strings attached. You may still feel the dull ache of what you've had to endure. Some deep wounds may never fully vanish on this side of eternity, but they are no longer merely open wounds. They are now transformed into wells, wells of profound understanding, wells of boundless mercy, and wells of spiritual discernment. And those who are privileged to drink from them will find new, abundant life because you paid the heavy price to keep those wells full and accessible. Now, as you stand in this revelation, you need to firmly cement this truth in your heart. The same fire that once threatened to consume you has now officially made you a carrier of warmth for those souls still trapped in the debilitating cold. The same destructive storms that viciously battered you have now transformed you into a brilliant lighthouse for the lost. The same choking darkness that tried desperately to bury you has now appointed you as a faithful torchbearer in the night. So, ask yourself this essential question. If all of those trials were the required training, what specific, great thing have you actually been prepared for? Because in the very next part, I am going to reveal the undeniable, powerful connection between your difficult preparation and the specific person heaven is strategically aligning you with, and why that destined meeting will change far more than just your personal life. It will radically change destinies. There is an individual out there whose story has been unfolding in perfect parallel with yours, even if you have never once crossed paths. Someone whose soul has been intricately carved by the same divine hands that so carefully shaped your own magnificent heart. Someone who has faithfully walked through their own refining fire, learned their profound, difficult lessons in necessary silence, and now carries their own spiritual scars like sacred proof of survival. You may not know their given name yet. You may not instantly recognize their face in a crowd, but heaven has been meticulously preparing them with the exact same level of precision and detail it used to prepare you. This is not mere coincidence. This is divine coordination. The omniscient author of your destiny has been simultaneously writing two distinct chapters that are destined to merge into one singular, powerful epic. This merger is not for simple human convenience. It is for an overarching kingdom purpose. This will absolutely not be a common, ordinary relationship. You will not find it existing within the realm of the usual or the ordinary because it simply does not belong there. It will be a true heavenly alliance, an intentional joining together of two powerful carriers of light, each possessing their own unique mission, but now destined to merge those missions into a unified force that neither of you could ever possibly accomplish alone. This is the ultimate reason your spirit has never been truly satisfied with shallow, fleeting connections. This is why your deep heart has consistently and powerfully rejected what the world mistakenly calls good enough. Because deep, deep down, a part of you knows that what is coming next will be nothing short of sacred. Your eventual union will not simply offer comfort, it will activate your highest potential. It won't be about just filling empty voids or soothing mutual insecurities. Instead, your constant presence in each other's lives will violently unlock dormant callings, immensely sharpen your joint discernment, and relentlessly fuel your collective courage. Where you have previously walked alone, often questioning if anyone could truly understand the immense weight you carry, this chosen person will recognize it instantly. They will not be intimidated or threatened by your profound purpose. They will be powerfully drawn to it because they have carried the same spiritual weight themselves. And together, as a unified front, you will bring undeniable light into the darkest places, not just with your carefully chosen words, but with your very existence as a couple. There will be something inexplicable about the way you walk side by side that profoundly shifts entire atmospheres. People will observe the way you communicate with one another, the integrity with which you handle challenges, the honor with which you treat each other, and they will feel a real, tangible hope rising inside their own hearts, not because you are flawless, but because your connection will undeniably carry the sweet scent of heaven. When you choose to love each other, it will be far more than just affection. It will be a strategic, divine operation executed against the schemes of spiritual darkness. Your unity will function as a powerful spiritual shield, covering each other in unceasing prayer, discerning incoming attacks long before they can physically manifest, and standing resolutely back when the enemy attempts to strike and divide you. Every single time you choose to fiercely protect rather than quickly accuse, to consistently pray rather than immediately react, you will be striking decisive blows against the forces that seek desperately to tear you apart. Your love will be a living testimony. Without the need for a single sermon, without a single podium, your relationship will preach a powerful message to everyone who witnesses it. They will bear witness to restoration, radical forgiveness, and steadfast, unbreakable commitment in a world obsessed with instant gratification and utterly disposable bonds. Young people will observe it and begin to believe in the possibility of lasting love again. Broken marriages will see it and remember what it genuinely means to fight for each other. Lonely hearts will see it and finally realize that God is still faithfully writing magnificent stories worth the agonizing wait. But above all else, your love will function as a potent spiritual weapon. The enemy fiercely fears united hearts because they consistently create immense openings for heaven to move in ways that solo missions could never achieve. When two truly chosen ones come together, their corporate prayers are multiplied in power. Their collective authority in the spiritual realm dramatically increases, and their very agreement becomes an impenetrable fortress against the enemy. Scripture makes it clear, one can put 1,000 to flight, but two can put 10,000 to flight. And your destined union will be the living, breathing proof of that promise. And perhaps the most magnificent part of this, is that this connection will not feel as though you are starting completely from scratch. When you finally meet, there will be an uncanny, strange, and holy familiarity, as if your souls recognized each other long before your minds could ever comprehend the reality. Conversations will feel less like discovering and more like remembering. Moments of shared silence will feel like a profound act of worship. Every glance exchanged will carry the unspoken heavy truth: this was not luck, this was appointed. You will still inevitably face battles. Every divine alliance is guaranteed to be tested. There will be challenging moments when the intense pressures of life attempt to cruelly squeeze you apart. But when you consciously remember that your union is not just about merely surviving together, but about advancing the kingdom together, you will always overcome the challenge. You will fundamentally understand that your love is not fragile or easily broken. It is a forged love, and a love that has been forged does not shatter under immense heat. It only becomes stronger, and maybe, just maybe, that is precisely why you have been kept apart until this point. Because God utterly refuses to allow this powerful meeting to occur before both of you are completely prepared in battle. Ready? Because once you successfully join forces, the spiritual acceleration will become unstoppable. And when this epic partnership begins, nothing, no person, no painful past, no power of darkness, will be able to permanently stand in the way of what you were created to accomplish together on this earth. So now the critical question hangs heavy in the air. What if the person heaven has been so painstakingly preparing for you is now closer than you could possibly imagine? What if every single delay you experienced was actually a precise countdown leading to their arrival? In the next and final part, you will understand why recognizing them immediately when they appear is just as critically important as the long, faithful waiting you have endured.